Sarah Martinez had always known she was different. Growing up in a small Texas town where football players were kings and cheerleaders were queens, she spent her Friday nights at the gym instead of the bleachers. While other girls her age worried about prom dates and college parties, Sarah was perfecting her ground fighting techniques and studying military history. Her father, a retired Marine sergeant, had taught her to throw a punch before she could properly tie her shoes. Her mother, a former Army medic, had shown her how to treat wounds and stay calm under pressure. The combination created something unique in their quiet suburban neighborhood. A 17-year-old girl who could outfight most grown men and had already decided she wanted to serve her country. The guidance counselor at Jefferson High School had tried to steer Sarah toward traditional paths. College, maybe nursing school, perhaps teaching. Safe careers for a smart girl from a good family. But Sarah had other plans. She wanted to join the Navy, and not just any part of the Navy. She wanted to become a SEAL. The problem was simple and complicated at the same time. Women couldn't become SEALs. The elite special operations community remained closed to female candidates, regardless of their qualifications or determination. It was 2015, and while other military branches had begun opening combat roles to women, the SEALs maintained their all-male tradition. Sarah's high school wrestling coach, Mike Henderson, had been the first person to take her ambitions seriously. Henderson was a former Navy man himself, though he'd never made it past basic SEAL training. He'd washed out during Hell Week, something he rarely talked about, but never forgot. "You've got something special, Martinez," he told her after she'd pinned the entire JV wrestling team in one afternoon. "Your technique is flawless, but more than that, you've got the mind for it. You think 3 moves ahead, while everyone else is still figuring out the first one." Henderson began training Sarah beyond the regular team practices. Early morning sessions in the school gym, weekend trips to his brother's ranch where they practiced tactical movements and survival skills. He taught her everything he remembered from his brief time in SEAL training, and then found ways to teach her more. Through his connections, Henderson arranged for Sarah to train with former special operations personnel who'd settled in Texas after their military careers. These men, grizzled veterans of conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan, initially showed up as favors to Henderson. They expected to spend a few hours humoring a teenage girl's fantasy about military service. Instead, they found themselves genuinely impressed. "She's got natural instincts you can't teach," said Tommy Rodriguez, a former Green Beret who'd lost part of his left leg to an IED in Kandahar. "Most people freeze up the first time they're in a real fight situation. Sarah, she gets calmer. It's like the pressure focuses her instead of scattering her." Sarah absorbed everything these veterans taught her: combat medicine, weapons handling, tactical thinking, survival techniques. She learned to navigate by stars, to move silently through dense brush, to maintain her equipment under the worst possible conditions. More importantly, she learned the mental discipline that separated special operations personnel from regular soldiers. By her senior year of high school, Sarah's capabilities had become something of a local legend. The story of her taking down 3 drunk college football players who'd cornered her outside a restaurant had spread throughout the county. What people didn't know was that she'd handled the situation without seriously injuring any of them, using just enough force to neutralize the threat and escape. Violence should always be the last option, her father had taught her. But when it's the only option left, you use exactly as much as necessary and not one bit more. Sarah graduated valedictorian of her class and enlisted in the Navy the following week. Her plan was straightforward: excel in every possible way, volunteer for the most challenging assignments, and position herself for the moment when barriers might finally fall. Navy boot camp at Great Lakes was almost disappointingly easy. Sarah had been preparing for military life since childhood, and the physical and mental challenges that broke other recruits barely registered for her. She finished first in her class in both academic and physical fitness categories, earning recognition as the honor graduate of her company. Her instructors noticed immediately that Sarah was operating on a different level than her peers. Chief Petty Officer Janet Walsh, a 20-year Navy veteran, had seen thousands of recruits pass through Great Lakes. She'd never seen anyone quite like Sarah Martinez. Most recruits, they're trying to survive training, Walsh explained to her colleagues. Martinez is studying it. She's not just learning what we're teaching her. She's analyzing why we're teaching it and how it connects to bigger concepts. It's like she's already thinking several levels ahead of where she actually is. After boot camp, Sarah was assigned to hospital corpsman school. She'd chosen the medical track deliberately, knowing that corpsmen served with Marine units and that medical training was valued in special operations communities. The decision proved wise. Her combination of medical knowledge and combat skills made her an unusually valuable asset. During corpsman training, Sarah met Lieutenant Commander Rebecca Stone, a Navy doctor who'd served multiple deployments with special operations units. Stone was immediately intrigued by Sarah's background and obvious capabilities. "You know you can't become a SEAL, right?" Stone asked during one of their conversations. "I mean, you clearly have the skills for it, maybe more than most guys I've worked with. But the rules are the rules." "Rules change," Sarah replied simply. "I'll be ready when they do." Stone arranged for Sarah to receive additional training opportunities normally reserved for corpsmen heading to special operations assignments. Advanced trauma medicine, combat casualty care, even basic explosive ordnance disposal techniques. Sarah approached each new skill with the same focused intensity she brought to everything else. Her first assignment after corpsman school was with a Marine unit at Camp Pendleton. The Marines were initially skeptical about their new Navy corpsman, especially when they learned she was a 19-year-old woman who looked like she should be in college rather than a combat zone. That skepticism lasted exactly 3 weeks. During a training exercise in the Mojave Desert, Sarah's Marine platoon was conducting a simulated patrol when one of the lance corporals, Jake Morrison, suffered a severe allergic reaction to something he'd eaten. His throat began closing up, his breathing became labored, and his skin turned an alarming shade of red. While other Marines stood around uncertain what to do, Sarah immediately took charge. She administered epinephrine, established an airway, and coordinated an emergency medical evacuation. Her quick thinking and expert medical care almost certainly saved Morrison's life. From that day forward, there wasn't a Marine in the platoon who wouldn't follow Doc Martinez into hell, said Staff Sergeant Kevin Murphy, Sarah's platoon leader. She'd proven herself under pressure, and that's the only currency that matters in this business. Sarah's reputation began to spread beyond her immediate unit. Stories of the young corpsman who could outfight most Marines while providing world-class medical care reached the attention of special operations commanders looking for exceptional personnel. Colonel James Mitchell, commanding officer of a Marine Special Operations Company, personally requested Sarah's transfer to his unit. Mitchell was known for assembling teams of the most capable individuals available, regardless of their background or traditional qualifications. "I don't care if she's a 19-year-old woman or a 90-year-old grandmother," Mitchell told his executive officer. "What I care about is that she can do the job better than anyone else available. From everything I've heard, that's exactly what Martinez brings to the table." Sarah's transfer to special operations represented a significant step forward in her career, but it also brought new challenges. She would be working with some of the most elite military personnel in the world, people who had earned their positions through years of proven excellence in the most dangerous situations imaginable. The Marines in Mitchell's unit were initially curious rather than hostile about their new corpsman. They'd all heard stories about her capabilities, and several had worked with her original platoon during joint training exercises. Still, working with special operations was different from regular Marine units. The standards were higher, the missions were more dangerous, and there was less room for error. Sarah's first real test came during a training exercise designed to simulate a hostage rescue mission. The scenario involved a terrorist group holding American civilians in a compound in a fictional Middle Eastern country. Sarah's role was to provide medical support for the rescue team, while also serving as backup for any tactical situations that might arise. The exercise began routinely enough. Intelligence gathering, mission planning, equipment preparation. Sarah participated in every aspect of the process, contributing ideas and asking questions that demonstrated her understanding of special operations principles. The actual mission simulation took place at a specially constructed training facility that could be reconfigured to represent different types of targets. For this exercise, it had been set up to mimic a 3-story concrete building with multiple rooms, and numerous potential hiding places for both hostages and terrorists. Sarah entered the building with the second wave of the assault team, following behind the initial breach team and ready to provide medical care for any casualties, friendly or enemy. She carried a full medical kit along with a sidearm and basic tactical gear. The exercise had been running for approximately 15 minutes when everything went wrong. One of the Marines playing the role of a terrorist had positioned himself in an upstairs room with a clear view of the main corridor. As the assault team moved through the building, he opened fire with simulation rounds that registered hits on electronic sensors worn by the team members. 2 Marines were immediately killed by the simulation, their sensors beeping to indicate fatal hits. He was known for his aggressive tactics and competitive nature, qualities that served him well in combat, but sometimes caused problems during training exercises. Moving quietly down the stairs, Brennan spotted Sarah treating Chun in the corridor below. According to exercise rules, he should have engaged them with simulation rounds from his position. Instead, he decided to close the distance and eliminate them at point-blank range for maximum dramatic effect. Sarah heard his footsteps on the stairs, but assumed it was one of her own team members moving to support her position. She continued working on Chin's simulated injuries, following proper medical procedures even though the wounds weren't real. Without looking around, she launched herself backward from her kneeling position, tackling Brennan around the waist and driving him into the concrete wall behind him. The collision knocked the breath out of Brennan and sent his simulation weapon clattering across the floor. Before he could recover, Sarah had spun around and pinned him against the wall with her forearm across his throat. Exercise rules say you engage from your position, not that you come down here and break tactical protocol, she said calmly, maintaining pressure on his throat just short of actually choking him. Brennan, who outweighed Sarah by nearly 60 pounds and had significantly more combat experience, found himself completely immobilized by a 19-year-old corpsman who barely came up to his shoulder. The exercise was immediately halted while instructors sorted out what had happened. Brennan was embarrassed and angry about being taken down so easily. Several other Marines were impressed by Sarah's quick reaction and tactical awareness. Colonel Mitchell reviewed the incident and determined that Sarah had acted appropriately given Brennan's deviation from exercise protocols. More importantly, he was intrigued by the speed and efficiency of her response. Most people would have panicked or tried to run, he told Sarah afterward. You assessed the threat, neutralized it, and maintained control of the situation. That's exactly how special operations personnel are supposed to react. The incident marked a turning point in how Sarah was perceived within the special operations community. Word spread quickly about the young corpsman who'd taken down an experienced Marine without breaking a sweat. More importantly, her tactical thinking and calm under pressure had impressed the kind of senior officers who could influence her career trajectory. Sarah continued to excel in every aspect of her assignment with Mitchell's unit. She completed advanced medical training, earned her parachutist wings, and participated in increasingly complex training exercises. Her performance evaluations were consistently exceptional, marking her as one of the most promising young personnel in the special operations community. As 2016 progressed, rumors began circulating about potential changes to the policies governing women in special operations roles. The Army had announced that all combat positions would eventually be open to qualified women, and pressure was mounting on other branches to follow suit. Sarah positioned herself carefully for whatever opportunities might arise. She volunteered for every challenging assignment, sought out additional training whenever possible, and built relationships with officers who might be able to advocate for her when the time came. Her reputation for exceptional performance under pressure continued to grow. During a joint training exercise with Navy SEALs, she'd impressed the instructors enough that several had privately suggested she would make an excellent addition to their ranks if such a thing were ever possible. Martinez has everything we look for in SEAL candidates, said Master Chief Petty Officer Robert Hayes, a 25-year veteran who'd served as an instructor at basic underwater demolition/SEAL training. Physical capability, mental toughness, tactical intelligence, and the kind of calm leadership you need in crisis situations. If she were a man, she'd already be wearing a trident. Hayes' assessment carried significant weight within the SEAL community. As one of the most respected instructors in the program, his opinion about potential candidates was valued by senior leadership throughout Naval Special Warfare Command. Sarah's opportunity finally came in late 2016 when Secretary of Defense Ash Carter announced that all military occupational specialties would be open to women, provided they could meet the established standards for those positions. The announcement included special operations roles, though each branch was given time to develop appropriate integration plans. Naval Special Warfare Command faced a unique challenge. SEAL training was notoriously difficult, with failure rates exceeding 80% even among highly motivated male candidates. Opening the program to women meant developing fair and objective standards that maintain the elite nature of the community while providing genuine opportunities for qualified female candidates. Sarah learned about the pending changes through unofficial channels before any public announcements were made. Colonel Mitchell had received briefings about the new policies and had immediately thought of his exceptional corpsman. "There's going to be an opportunity for you soon," he told Sarah during a private conversation in his office. "I can't give you details yet, but I want you to start thinking seriously about whether this is really what you want. The scrutiny is going to be intense, and the pressure will be unlike anything you've experienced." Sarah had been preparing for this moment for over 2 years. Her answer was immediate and definitive. "Yes, sir. This is exactly what I want." Mitchell nodded, having expected that response. "Then, we need to make sure you're ready for whatever comes next. The opportunity of a lifetime is also going to be the challenge of a lifetime." The announcement came on December 3rd, 2015, but it took another year for Naval Special Warfare Command to develop their integration plan. During that year, Sarah continued her assignment with Colonel Mitchell's unit while quietly preparing for what she knew would be the ultimate test of her military career. The preparation was intense and methodical. Sarah increased her physical training regimen, focusing particularly on the swimming and running endurance that would be crucial for SEAL training. She studied every available account of basic underwater demolition/SEAL training, analyzing the challenges and developing strategies for success. Master Chief Hayes, who had become an unofficial mentor after their meeting during joint exercises, provided guidance whenever possible. He couldn't officially coach Sarah for SEAL training, but he could share general insights about military leadership and special operations that proved invaluable. "The physical stuff will be hard, but you're already in better shape than most guys who show up," Hayes told her during one of their conversations. "The real challenge is going to be mental. 6 months of constant pressure, designed to make you quit. They're going to push every button you have, and some you didn't know existed." Sarah appreciated the honesty. She'd heard stories about the psychological challenges of SEAL training, but hearing it from someone who'd been there added weight to her understanding. In March 2017, Naval Special Warfare Command announced that they would begin accepting female candidates for SEAL training starting with the next class cycle in June. The announcement made national news, with Sarah's name mentioned in several articles as a likely candidate. The media attention was unwelcome, but not unexpected. Sarah had known that the first women to attempt SEAL training would face scrutiny from both supporters and critics. She prepared herself to handle questions from reporters while focusing on her actual preparation for the training itself. The application process was rigorous even by military standards. Beyond meeting the physical fitness requirements, candidates underwent extensive psychological evaluations, background investigations, and interviews with senior SEAL officers. Sarah's record with special operations units worked in her favor, but she knew that past performance only earned her the opportunity to try, not any guarantee of success. Lieutenant Commander Stone, Sarah's former mentor from Corpsman School, served on the selection board that reviewed female candidates. She later told Sarah that the board had been impressed not just by her qualifications, but by the quality of recommendations from officers who had worked with her. "Your evaluations read like someone describing a mythical perfect soldier," Stone explained. "Multiple officers independently described you as the most naturally gifted special operations candidate they'd ever encountered. That kind of consensus is rare." Sarah's acceptance into SEAL training was announced in May 2017. She would be part of Class 346, beginning training on June 5 at Naval Amphibious Base Coronado in California. The class would include approximately 180 candidates, with Sarah being one of 3 women accepted for the program. The other 2 female candidates were Lieutenant Jennifer Walsh, a Naval Academy graduate and former surface warfare officer, and Petty Officer First Class Maria Santos, a Navy explosive ordnance disposal technician with multiple combat deployments. Both women had exceptional military records and had specifically requested SEAL training when the opportunity became available. The 3 women knew they would be under tremendous scrutiny throughout the training process. Success would open doors for future female candidates, while failure would provide ammunition for those who opposed integration of special operations units. Sarah arrived at Coronado on June 3rd, 2 days before training began. She used the time to familiarize herself with the base layout, study the training schedule, and mentally prepare for what lay ahead. The other candidates were arriving throughout the weekend, and she observed them with professional interest. The men in Class 346 represented the typical SEAL candidate profile: college graduates, former athletes, military veterans with combat experience. Many were officers from other Navy communities who had requested special operations assignments. Others were enlisted personnel who had excelled in their current roles and earned recommendations for SEAL training. Sarah noticed that several candidates seemed to be studying her and her female classmates with obvious curiosity. Most maintained professional demeanor, but she could sense the underlying skepticism about whether women belonged in the program. One candidate, Lieutenant Commander Marcus Webb, made his opinions clear during an informal gathering on Saturday evening. Webb was a former college football player with 5 years of surface warfare experience and obvious confidence in his own abilities. "Look, nothing personal against you ladies," he announced to the group, "but this whole thing is a social experiment that's going to get people killed. SEALs operate in situations where lives depend on every team member being capable of carrying their weight, and then some. Physical standards exist for good reasons." Sarah chose not to respond directly to Webb's comments, but she filed away his attitude for future reference. She'd encountered similar skepticism throughout her military career and had learned that actions spoke louder than arguments. Training officially began on Monday morning at 0500 hours. The candidates assembled on the beach at Coronado for their first meeting with the SEAL instructors who would guide them through the next 6 months. The instructors represented decades of combat experience and thousands of successful training cycles. Senior Chief Petty Officer Michael Torres, the lead instructor for Class 346, addressed the assembled candidates with the traditional opening remarks that had been delivered to SEAL trainees for generations. "Welcome to Basic Underwater Demolition/SEAL Training. Over the next 24 weeks, you will be tested in ways you cannot imagine. Most of you will quit. Some of you will be injured. A few of you will discover capabilities you never knew you possessed. Your job is simple: exceed every standard, support your teammates, and never give up." The first phase of training focused on physical conditioning and basic military skills. 8 weeks of increasingly difficult physical challenges designed to build the foundation of strength and endurance required for special operations. Sarah had prepared extensively for this phase, knowing that early performance would set the tone for everything that followed. The daily routine was brutal by design. Pre-dawn physical training, followed by academic classes, practical exercises, and additional conditioning. Candidates were constantly evaluated on their physical performance, academic achievement, and leadership potential. Sarah excelled in every measured category. Her times for running and swimming were consistently among the best in the class. Her academic scores were outstanding. Her performance during practical exercises demonstrated the tactical knowledge and calm decision-making that her previous commanders had noted. More importantly, she began earning the respect of her male classmates through consistent demonstration of competence under pressure. During a particularly challenging beach training exercise, Sarah had carried her full equipment load plus additional gear for a teammate who was struggling, maintaining pace with the fastest candidates while others fell behind. Lieutenant Walsh was also performing well, though not quite at Sarah's level. Petty Officer Santos was struggling with the academic portions of training despite her excellent physical capabilities. The 3 women had formed a mutual support network, helping each other with areas of difficulty while maintaining their individual focus on success. The first major challenge came during week 4, when Class 346 faced their initial underwater training exercise. Candidates were required to demonstrate swimming proficiency while wearing full equipment, including the ability to remove and replace their gear underwater while maintaining proper buoyancy and navigation. Sarah had always been a strong swimmer, but underwater training with military equipment presented unique challenges. The weight and bulk of tactical gear changed swimming dynamics significantly, requiring adjustments to technique and breathing patterns. During the exercise, candidates swam in pairs for safety purposes. Sarah was partnered with Lieutenant Commander Webb, who had continued making occasional comments about the appropriateness of women in SEAL training despite her consistently strong performance. Halfway through the exercise, Webb experienced equipment problems that caused him to sink below the prescribed depth. His buoyancy compensator had malfunctioned, and he was struggling to maintain position in the water while attempting to fix the problem. Sarah immediately recognized his difficulty and moved to assist. Working underwater with limited visibility, she helped stabilize Webb's position while he worked on his equipment. When it became clear that the malfunction couldn't be quickly fixed, she shared her own air supply through buddy breathing while guiding both of them to the surface. The instructors who witnessed the incident were impressed by Sarah's quick response and technical skill. Webb, to his credit, acknowledged her assistance and publicly thanked her for potentially preventing a serious training accident. "Martinez didn't just help me," he told their classmates afterward. "She probably saved my life out there. I was in real trouble, and she handled the situation better than most experienced SEALs would have." Webb's change of attitude represented a broader shift in how Sarah was perceived by her classmates. Her consistent performance and willingness to help teammates had earned genuine acceptance within the class. Instead of being seen as an outsider whose presence complicated training, she was increasingly viewed as a valuable team member. The second phase of training brought new challenges focused on land warfare and small unit tactics, combat patrol operations, weapons training, explosives handling, and complex mission planning. Sarah's background with Marine Special Operations units proved valuable during this phase, as she already understood many of the concepts being taught. The academic load also increased significantly during second phase. Candidates were required to master subjects ranging from battlefield medicine to foreign language basics to detailed technical knowledge about weapons and equipment. Sarah's natural intelligence and study habits allowed her to excel in these areas while still maintaining her physical training standards. Lieutenant Walsh was finding the increased academic demands challenging. Despite her Naval Academy education, the specialized knowledge required for special operations was different from her previous training. Sarah and several male classmates formed study groups to help struggling candidates master difficult material. During Week 12, Class 346 faced its most significant test yet, a multi-day field training exercise that combined all the skills learned during the first two phases. Teams of 6 candidates would plan and execute simulated combat missions while instructors evaluated their performance under realistic conditions. Sarah's team included Webb, 2 other officers, and 2 enlisted candidates. As the most junior member of the team, she wasn't expected to take a leadership role, but her tactical knowledge and calm decision-making quickly made her an influential voice in their planning sessions. The exercise scenario involved infiltrating a hostile area, gathering intelligence, and extracting a high-value target while avoiding enemy forces. Each team would face different variations of the mission, with instructors playing enemy roles and creating realistic complications. Sarah's team spent 2 days developing their plan, considering multiple contingencies and backup options. Her suggestions for mission timing and escape routes were incorporated into their final strategy. The other team members had come to respect her tactical insights and attention to detail. The actual mission began before dawn on a Wednesday morning. Sarah's team moved carefully through dense California forest, navigating by compass and landmark while maintaining communication silence. Their target was located in a mock village constructed specifically for training exercises. Everything proceeded according to plan for the first 6 hours. The team successfully infiltrated the target area, gathered required intelligence, and located their extraction target. They were preparing to begin their escape when complications arose. The instructors playing enemy forces had set up a checkpoint along their planned escape route. The team was forced to find an alternative path while maintaining custody of their prisoner and avoiding detection by roving enemy patrols. Sarah suggested a route that would take them through a rocky canyon area that would be difficult for vehicles to navigate, but could be traversed on foot by a small team. The path was longer and more physically demanding than their original plan, but it offered better concealment and fewer opportunities for enemy interdiction. Webb, as team leader, approved Sarah's suggestion and they began moving toward the canyon. The terrain was challenging even for candidates in excellent physical condition, requiring careful foot placement and mutual assistance to navigate steep sections. Halfway through the canyon, they encountered an unexpected complication. One of the enlisted candidates, Petty Officer Johnson, had injured his ankle on the rocky terrain. The injury wasn't serious enough to require medical evacuation, but it significantly slowed his movement and made the remaining journey much more difficult. Without hesitation, Sarah redistributed gear among team members and took responsibility for helping Johnson maintain pace with the group. She essentially became his physical support, steadying him over difficult terrain while carrying her own equipment load plus additional items from his pack. The team completed their mission successfully, reaching the extraction point within the required time frame despite the injury and route complications. Their debrief with instructors was overwhelmingly positive, with particular praise for their adaptability and team cohesion under pressure. Senior Chief Torres noted Sarah's leadership during the mission despite her junior status within the team. Petty Officer Martinez demonstrated exactly the kind of tactical thinking and selfless teamwork we expect from SEAL operators, he told the class during their next academic session. Rank and experience matter, but competence and character matter more. The field exercise marked another turning point in Sarah's relationship with her classmates and instructors. Her consistent performance under increasingly difficult conditions had established her as one of the most capable candidates in Class 346. More importantly, her willingness to support struggling teammates had earned the respect that mattered most in special operations culture. As training progressed into its final phases, attention began focusing on the candidates who would likely graduate and earn their SEAL qualification. Attrition had reduced the class size significantly, with approximately 60 candidates remaining from the original 180. Sarah, Webb, and most of their team from the field exercise were among the top performers expected to complete the program. Lieutenant Walsh had unfortunately been dropped from training during week 15 due to academic performance issues. Despite her physical capabilities and strong motivation, she had been unable to master the technical knowledge required for SEAL operations. Her departure left Sarah as the sole remaining female candidate. The pressure of being the only woman left in training was intense, but not overwhelming for Sarah. She had prepared herself mentally for this possibility and understood that her success or failure would influence opportunities for future female candidates. Instead of letting the pressure distract her, she used it as additional motivation to maintain her high-performance standards. The final phase of training focused on advanced combat skills and small unit leadership. Candidates who had demonstrated basic competence during earlier phases were now expected to excel under extreme conditions while taking increasing responsibility for mission success and team member safety. Sarah's performance during final phase training exceeded even her own expectations. Years of preparation combined with months of intensive training had developed her capabilities beyond what she had thought possible. She was consistently ranked among the top candidates in every category of evaluation. More significantly, her classmates and instructors had begun treating her not as a woman attempting to become a SEAL, but simply as a future SEAL who happened to be a woman. The distinction was subtle but important, representing full acceptance into the special operations community based purely on demonstrated competence. The graduation ceremony for Class 346 was scheduled for December 15, 2017. Sarah would be among 42 candidates receiving their SEAL qualification, having successfully completed one of the most demanding military training programs in the world. She would also make history as the first woman to earn the coveted Navy SEAL Trident pin. As training neared its conclusion, Sarah reflected on the journey that had brought her to this point. From a small Texas town to the beaches of Coronado, every step had been building toward this achievement. But she also understood that graduation was just the beginning rather than the end of her special operations career. Graduation from SEAL training marked the beginning of Sarah's real career in special operations, not the end of her challenges. The Navy SEAL community was small and tight-knit, and integrating the first female operator required careful consideration of team dynamics and operational effectiveness. Sarah was assigned to SEAL Team 7, based at Naval Amphibious Base Little Creek in Virginia. The team was commanded by Commander David Sullivan, a veteran of multiple deployments who had specifically requested to have the Navy's first female SEAL assigned to his unit. "I want the best operators available, regardless of their background," Sullivan had told his superiors when asked about taking Sarah. "From everything I've seen and heard, Martinez is among the best candidates to come out of training in years. My job is to build the most capable team possible, and that's exactly what I intend to do." Sullivan's leadership philosophy proved crucial during Sarah's integration into the team. Instead of treating her arrival as a special event requiring extraordinary measures, he simply introduced her as the team's newest operator and expected everyone to perform according to SEAL standards. The reaction from her new teammates was mixed but generally professional. Most of the SEALs in Team 7 had heard about Sarah's performance during training and were curious to see how her capabilities would translate to actual operations. A few were skeptical about working with a woman in combat situations, but were willing to be convinced by her performance. Chief Petty Officer Alex Rodriguez, the team's senior enlisted leader, had worked with female intelligence officers and support personnel during previous deployments. He understood that successful integration depended on treating Sarah as just another SEAL, while remaining sensitive to practical considerations unique to mixed-gender teams. "We're going to have to figure out some logistics," Rodriguez told Sullivan during a private conversation. "Sleeping arrangements during deployments, facilities on remote bases, that kind of thing. But the fundamental job doesn't change. She needs to be able to do everything every other operator can do, and we need to be confident she'll have our backs when things get complicated." Sarah's first few weeks with Team 7 focused on advanced training and team integration exercises. SEALs who had graduated from basic training still required extensive preparation before being ready for combat deployments. Advanced weapons training, specialized communications, detailed study of potential target areas, and countless hours of mission rehearsal. Sarah approached this advanced training with the same intensity she'd brought to her basic SEAL course. She recognized that earning her Trident pin was just the first step in proving herself capable of serving in the special operations community. Her real test would come when the team deployed on actual missions. The team's first major exercise with Sarah occurred during a joint training operation with British Special Boat Service personnel in Scotland. The scenario involved coastal infiltration, reconnaissance of terrorist facilities, and extraction under hostile conditions. Weather conditions were deliberately harsh, with cold rain, high winds, and limited visibility. Sarah's performance during the Scottish exercise impressed both American and British Special Operations personnel. Her skills as a swimmer and her ability to navigate in difficult conditions stood out even among elite operators. More importantly, her tactical decision-making and communication under stress demonstrated that her basic training success had been based on genuine capability rather than accommodation. "Your new operator is quite impressive," commented Captain James Morrison, the British officer coordinating the joint exercise. "Natural instincts, excellent technical skills, and the kind of calm leadership you want in difficult situations. You're fortunate to have someone of her caliber joining your team." Back at Little Creek, Sarah continued building relationships with her teammates while mastering the advanced skills required for special operations. Commander Sullivan carefully managed media requests, allowing limited access while protecting Sarah from excessive intrusion. He understood that public support for women in special operations would be influenced by perceptions of her success or failure, making her performance a matter of broader strategic importance. In March 2018, SEAL Team 7 received orders to deploy to Afghanistan in support of ongoing counterterrorism operations. The deployment would last 6 months and involve missions throughout the country, working with conventional military units and allied Afghan forces to target terrorist networks. Sarah's first combat deployment represented a crucial test of her capabilities under actual operational conditions. Training exercises, no matter how realistic, couldn't fully replicate the stress and uncertainty of real combat operations where mistakes could result in friendly casualties or mission failure. The team deployed to Bagram airfield outside Kabul, establishing a base of operations for missions throughout eastern Afghanistan. Sarah was assigned as the team's primary corpsman, responsible for providing medical support during operations while also serving as a fully qualified SEAL operator. Her first mission came just 2 weeks after arrival. Intelligence had identified a compound in Nangarhar province where senior Taliban leaders were meeting to plan attacks against coalition forces. SEAL Team 7 was tasked with conducting a night raid to capture or eliminate the targets while minimizing civilian casualties. Sarah participated in detailed mission planning, contributing insights about medical contingencies and evacuation procedures while also helping develop the tactical approach. Her experience with Marine Special Operations units provided valuable perspective on working with conventional forces for support and backup. The mission began at 2,300 hours on a moonless night in late March. Sarah and 7 other SEALs loaded onto helicopters for the flight to their target area, carrying full combat equipment, and prepared for a complex operation in hostile territory. The helicopter insertion went smoothly, with both aircraft landing briefly to discharge their passengers before departing for nearby staging areas. Sarah's team moved quickly toward their target compound, using night vision equipment to navigate through rocky terrain while maintaining communication silence. Intelligence had indicated that approximately 12 Taliban fighters were present in the compound, along with 3 senior leaders who were the primary mission targets. The SEALs planned to surround the compound, eliminate external guards, and then breach the main building to capture or kill the leadership. Sarah was assigned to the support element, positioned to provide overwatch for the breach team while being ready to respond with medical aid if any teammates were wounded. Her position offered a clear view of the compound and surrounding area, allowing her to monitor for threats approaching from outside. The initial phase of the operation proceeded according to plan. External guards were silently eliminated by the SEAL snipers, and the breach team moved into position at the main building. Sarah maintained her overwatch position, scanning for additional threats while monitoring radio communications. When the breach team entered the building, they immediately encountered resistance from Taliban fighters who had been waiting in ambush positions. A firefight erupted inside the compound, with automatic weapons fire and grenades being used by both sides. 2 SEALs were wounded during the initial exchange of gunfire. Petty Officer Martinez immediately moved from her overwatch position to provide medical treatment, crossing open ground under enemy fire to reach her wounded teammates. The first casualty had taken multiple gunshot wounds to his legs and was bleeding severely. Sarah quickly applied tourniquets and pressure bandages while coordinating for medical evacuation. The second casualty had sustained shrapnel wounds from a grenade explosion and was experiencing significant pain, but wasn't in immediate life-threatening danger. While treating the wounded SEALs, Sarah maintained situational awareness of the ongoing firefight. When she spotted Taliban fighters attempting to flank her team's position, she engaged them with her rifle while continuing to provide medical care with her free hand. Her accurate shooting neutralized the flanking threat and allowed the breach team to complete their mission. All 3 Taliban leaders were either captured or killed, and a significant cache of weapons and intelligence materials was recovered from the compound. The wounded SEALs were successfully evacuated to Bagram for definitive medical care. Both men made full recoveries and later credited Sarah's quick and expert medical treatment with saving their lives and preventing permanent disability. Commander Sullivan's after-action report praised Sarah's performance during her first combat operation. Petty Officer Martinez demonstrated exceptional courage and tactical skill under enemy fire, he wrote. Her medical expertise saved the lives of 2 team members, while her combat effectiveness contributed directly to mission success. The successful mission established Sarah's credibility within the broader SEAL community. Word spread quickly through special operations networks about the first female SEAL's performance under combat conditions. Stories of her treating wounded teammates while simultaneously engaging enemy forces became part of SEAL folklore. Over the following months, Sarah participated in dozens of combat operations throughout Afghanistan. She served as team medic, sniper, breacher, and team leader depending on mission requirements. Her versatility and consistent performance under dangerous conditions earned the complete respect of her teammates and other special operations personnel. During a particularly challenging mission in June 2018, Sarah's team was tasked with rescuing 2 American aid workers who had been kidnapped by Taliban fighters in remote Kunar province. Intelligence indicated the hostages were being held in a valley surrounded by mountains, with limited options for helicopter insertion or extraction. The rescue mission required a multi-day operation involving infiltration on foot, reconnaissance of the target area, and coordination with conventional military units for support. Sarah's team would need to hike nearly 30 miles through mountainous terrain while carrying full combat equipment and supplies for an extended operation. The mission began with insertion by helicopter at a landing zone 15 miles from the target valley. Sarah and her teammates immediately began moving toward their objective, navigating by GPS and landmark while avoiding known Taliban patrol routes. The mountain terrain was extremely challenging, with steep slopes, loose rocks, and limited water sources. Each SEAL carried approximately 80 pounds of equipment, including weapons, ammunition, medical supplies, communications gear, and food for 3 days of operations. Sarah's physical conditioning proved crucial during the approach march. Her endurance and strength allowed her to maintain pace with larger teammates while carrying her full equipment load. More importantly, her medical training proved valuable when one of the team members suffered a knee injury during a difficult river crossing. After 2 days of movement, the team reached observation positions overlooking the valley where the hostages were reportedly being held. Sarah served as one of the designated observers, using advanced optics to study the target compound and identify guard positions, patrol patterns, and potential threats. Intelligence had been accurate about the general location, but had underestimated the number of Taliban fighters present. Instead of the expected 8 to 10 guards, Sarah's team counted more than 20 fighters around the compound, along with several civilians whose status was unclear. The team spent an additional day conducting detailed reconnaissance and developing a rescue plan that would maximize chances of success while minimizing risk to the hostages. Sarah contributed significantly to the planning process, identifying medical contingencies and suggesting tactical modifications based on her observations. The rescue operation commenced at dawn on their 4th day in the mountains. Sarah's team approached the compound from multiple directions, using suppressed weapons to eliminate external guards while closing distance to the building where hostages were reportedly held. Sarah was assigned to the immediate rescue team, tasked with locating and extracting the American hostages while other team members secured the compound perimeter. She carried specialized medical equipment in case the hostages required immediate treatment for injuries or illness. When the team breached the main building, they found the 2 Americans in a basement room, both alive, but showing signs of maltreatment and poor health. One hostage had obvious injuries consistent with beatings, while the other appeared to be suffering from dehydration and possible infection. Sarah immediately began assessing their medical condition while other team members secured the area and prepared for extraction. Both hostages were conscious and able to move, but required immediate rehydration and treatment for their injuries. The extraction phase proved more challenging than the initial rescue. Taliban reinforcements had been alerted by the gunfire and were moving toward the compound from multiple directions. Sarah's team needed to move quickly with their rescued hostages while avoiding a larger enemy force. Sarah took primary responsibility for one of the weakened hostages, essentially carrying him during the most difficult portions of their escape route. Her physical strength and endurance allowed her to maintain pace with the team while ensuring the rescued American received necessary medical support. The team successfully reached their extraction point after a 6-hour movement through mountain terrain. Both hostages were evacuated to Germany for medical treatment and eventually returned safely to the United States. The rescue operation was considered one of the most successful hostage recoveries of the Afghanistan deployment. Sarah's performance during the hostage rescue further enhanced her reputation within the special operations community. Her combination of combat effectiveness, medical expertise, and physical capabilities had proven invaluable during one of the most challenging missions her team had undertaken. As her deployment in Afghanistan continued, Sarah took on increasing leadership responsibilities within SEAL Team 7. Her tactical knowledge and decision-making abilities led to her being selected for advanced leadership training, preparing her for eventual promotion to senior enlisted ranks. The deployment concluded in September 2018 with Sarah having participated in over 40 combat operations. She had been awarded the Bronze Star Medal for her performance during the hostage rescue mission and had received commendations for several other operations where her medical skills had saved lives. Upon returning to the United States, Sarah faced new challenges related to her increasing visibility and the ongoing debate about women in special operations roles. Her successful combat deployment had silenced most critics within the military, but public attention continued to focus on her achievements and their broader implications. SEAL Team 7's next assignment involved training and preparation for deployment to Syria, where American Special Operations Forces were supporting coalition efforts against ISIS terrorist networks. The mission would require different skills and present new challenges, but Sarah approached it with the same systematic preparation that had characterized her entire career. Commander Sullivan, who had been promoted and transferred to a new assignment, was replaced by Commander Robert Chun, another experienced SEAL officer who had specifically requested to continue leading the team that included the Navy's first female operator. Martinez has proven herself beyond any possible doubt, Chun told his superiors when asked about continuing Sarah's assignment to the team. She's not the first female SEAL anymore. She's just one of our most capable operators. That's exactly how it should be. The assignment to Syria represented a new chapter in Sarah's special operations career. By early 2019, she had established herself as one of the most capable operators in SEAL Team 7, earning respect through consistent performance rather than the novelty of being the first female SEAL. The Syria deployment would be different from Afghanistan in several important ways. Instead of operating from large, established bases with significant support infrastructure, the team would work from smaller forward operating positions with minimal facilities. The enemy was also different. ISIS fighters who employed sophisticated tactics and had extensive experience fighting coalition forces. Commander Chun spent several weeks preparing his team for the unique challenges they would face in Syria. Urban warfare, coordination with Kurdish and Arab coalition partners, and operations in areas where civilian populations remained present despite ongoing conflict. Sarah participated in specialized training for each of these mission sets. The team deployed to an undisclosed location in northeastern Syria in March 2019. Their primary mission involved supporting coalition efforts to eliminate remaining ISIS strongholds while building capacity among local forces to maintain security after American forces eventually withdrew from the region. Sarah's first operation in Syria came just 1 week after deployment. Intelligence had identified an ISIS commander who was coordinating attacks against coalition forces from a compound in a small town near the Euphrates River. The target had significant intelligence value and needed to be captured alive if possible. The mission required infiltration into an urban environment where ISIS fighters maintained a significant presence. Sarah's team would work with Kurdish special forces to surround the target compound while minimizing civilian casualties and avoiding a larger battle with enemy reinforcements. Sarah was assigned as the team's primary breacher for this mission, responsible for gaining entry to the target building while other team members provided security. She had trained extensively in explosive and mechanical breaching techniques, learning to open doors and walls quickly while controlling collateral damage. The operation began before dawn with Sarah's team moving through empty streets toward their target. Kurdish forces had established a security perimeter around the general area, but the SEALs needed to approach the specific compound without alerting the target or nearby ISIS fighters. Using thermal imaging and other surveillance technology, the team confirmed that their target was present in the compound along with approximately 6 other individuals. The layout of the building presented challenges for a traditional assault, requiring careful coordination between breach and assault teams. Sarah positioned herself at the main entrance to the compound, while other team members covered alternate exit points. When Commander Chin gave the signal, she initiated the breach using a small explosive charge that opened the reinforced door without causing excessive noise or damage. The assault team immediately entered the building, moving quickly to locate and secure their target. Sarah followed close behind, ready to provide medical support if anyone was wounded during the operation. The breach had been successful, catching the ISIS fighters by surprise and preventing organized resistance. The target commander was captured alive along with several subordinates and a significant amount of intelligence material. No coalition forces were wounded during the operation, and civilian casualties were avoided despite the complex urban environment. The mission was considered a model for future operations in similar conditions. Sarah's performance as primary breacher demonstrated her technical expertise and ability to perform under pressure in a new operational environment. Her precise execution of the breach had been crucial to the mission's success and the safety of both her teammates and civilian bystanders. Over the following months, Sarah participated in numerous operations throughout eastern Syria. She served in various roles depending on mission requirements: sniper, medic, team leader, and liaison with coalition partners. Her adaptability and professional competence made her a valuable asset for the diverse challenges the team faced. One of her most significant contributions came during a complex operation to rescue Kurdish civilians who had been captured by ISIS fighters retreating from coalition advances. The hostages were being held in a former school building that had been converted into a makeshift prison and headquarters. The rescue mission required coordination between multiple coalition units, including American, Kurdish, and French Special Operations Forces. Sarah was selected to serve as the medical coordinator for the operation, responsible for planning casualty evacuation procedures and providing immediate treatment for any rescued hostages who required medical attention. Intelligence indicated that approximately 30 civilians were being held in the school, including women and children who had been captured during ISIS raids on Kurdish villages. The terrorists were reportedly planning to execute the hostages if coalition forces approached, making the timing and execution of the rescue operation critical. Sarah participated in detailed planning sessions with coalition partners, working to develop medical contingencies for various scenarios while also contributing to the overall tactical approach. Her experience treating trauma patients and managing medical evacuations under combat conditions proved valuable during the planning process. The rescue operation commenced at dawn with simultaneous assaults on multiple entry points to the school building. Sarah accompanied the main assault team, carrying specialized medical equipment while also serving as a fully qualified combat operator ready to engage enemy forces. The initial assault encountered heavy resistance from ISIS fighters who had prepared defensive positions throughout the school. Sarah's team fought room by room through the building, searching for hostages while eliminating terrorist resistance. The combat was intense and close quarters, requiring careful fire discipline to avoid hitting civilians. Sarah located the first group of hostages in a basement classroom where 15 Kurdish civilians had been held in terrible conditions. Many showed signs of maltreatment and dehydration, requiring immediate medical attention. While other team members continued clearing the building, Sarah began triaging and treating the most seriously injured hostages. Working under combat conditions with limited medical supplies, Sarah prioritized life-threatening injuries while preparing the hostages for evacuation. Several children were suffering from severe dehydration, while adult hostages had various injuries consistent with beatings and abuse. The rescue operation successfully freed all 30 hostages, with no civilian casualties during the assault phase. Sarah's medical treatment proved crucial for several hostages who might not have survived evacuation to more advanced medical facilities without immediate intervention. The successful hostage rescue operation earned Sarah recognition from coalition partners who had worked with special operations forces from multiple countries. Her combination of combat effectiveness and medical expertise had been instrumental in achieving the mission objectives while minimizing casualties. Colonel James Morrison, the British Special Forces commander coordinating coalition operations in the area, specifically praised Sarah's performance during his debrief with American leadership. Petty Officer Martinez demonstrated exactly the kind of professional competence and tactical flexibility we need for these complex operations, he reported. Her medical skills saved lives, while her combat performance contributed directly to mission success. As 2019 progressed, Sarah took on increasing responsibility within SEAL Team 7. Commander Chin selected her to serve as assistant team leader for certain operations, recognizing her tactical judgment and leadership abilities. The promotion to leadership roles represented another milestone in her special operations career. Her first opportunity to lead a mission came in August 2019, when intelligence identified a small ISIS cell operating from a remote compound in the Syrian desert. The cell was believed to be responsible for placing improvised explosive devices along supply routes used by coalition forces. The mission to eliminate the IED cell required a small team that could operate independently in remote terrain with limited support. Sarah was selected to lead a 4-person element that would conduct reconnaissance, confirm the target, and eliminate the threat with minimal coalition involvement. Sarah spent several days planning the operation with her team members, considering multiple approaches and contingency plans. The target compound was located in an isolated area with good observation fields, making approach and escape more challenging than urban operations. The team inserted by helicopter at a landing zone 20 miles from their target, then moved on foot through desert terrain during nighttime hours. Sarah led the patrol, navigating by GPS while maintaining communication silence and avoiding areas where they might encounter civilian populations or enemy patrols. After 2 days of careful movement and reconnaissance, Sarah's team confirmed that the target compound contained approximately 8 ISIS fighters along with equipment for manufacturing improvised explosive devices. The intelligence had been accurate, and the target represented a significant threat to coalition forces. Sarah coordinated the assault on the compound, positioning her team members to cover all possible escape routes while she led the main attack on the primary building. The operation was executed during pre-dawn hours when enemy alertness would be at its lowest point. The assault achieved complete surprise, with Sarah's team eliminating all enemy fighters and destroying the IED manufacturing equipment without sustaining any casualties. They also recovered intelligence materials that led to identification of other ISIS cells operating in the region. Sarah's successful leadership of an independent mission demonstrated her readiness for promotion to senior enlisted ranks within the SEAL community. Her tactical decision-making, mission planning abilities, and performance under pressure had exceeded expectations for someone with her level of experience. The Syria deployment concluded in September 2019, with SEAL Team 7 having conducted dozens of successful operations against ISIS targets. Sarah had participated in most of these missions, serving in various leadership roles while continuing to provide exceptional medical support when needed. Upon returning to the United States, Sarah was promoted to Chief Petty Officer, making her the first woman to achieve senior enlisted rank in the SEAL community. The promotion recognized her operational achievements and leadership potential, positioning her for even greater responsibilities in future assignments. Her promotion ceremony at Naval Amphibious Base Little Creek was attended by senior officers from throughout Naval Special Warfare Command, reflecting the significance of her achievement within the Special Operations community. Admiral Timothy Morrison, commander of Naval Special Warfare Command, personally presented Sarah with her new rank insignia. Chief Martinez represents the best of what we expect from SEAL operators, Admiral Morrison said during the ceremony. Her achievements in combat, her leadership abilities, and her dedication to the mission exemplify the standards we maintain in this community. She has earned this promotion through exceptional performance, not as recognition for breaking barriers. Following her promotion, Sarah was assigned to the Naval Special Warfare Development Group, commonly known as SEAL Team 6, the Navy's most elite counterterrorism unit. The assignment represented another historic milestone, as she became the first woman to serve with the military's premier special operations unit. SEAL Team 6 operated under higher classification levels and more stringent security requirements than regular SEAL teams. Sarah underwent additional background investigations and specialized training before beginning her assignment with the unit in early 2020. Her first months with SEAL Team 6 involved advanced training in counterterrorism tactics, hostage rescue operations, and classified techniques used by the unit during high-priority missions. Sarah excelled in all training phases, demonstrating the same professional competence that had characterized her entire special operations career. The training culminated in a series of complex exercises designed to test operators under the most demanding conditions possible. Sarah's performance during these exercises confirmed that her capabilities matched the exceptional standards required for SEAL Team 6 operations. In June 2020, Sarah participated in her first classified mission with SEAL Team 6. While details of the operation remain classified, her performance during the mission earned recognition from unit leadership and positioned her for additional high-priority assignments. Over the following year, Sarah established herself as one of the most capable operators in SEAL Team 6, participating in numerous classified operations while continuing to serve as a training instructor for new team members. Her expertise in combat medicine and tactical operations made her a valuable asset for the unit's diverse mission requirements. The path that had begun in a small Texas town had led Sarah to the pinnacle of military special operations. But her achievements represented more than personal success. They had opened doors for future generations of women who aspired to serve in the most demanding roles the military could offer. As 2021 began, Sarah faced new challenges and opportunities within SEAL Team 6. Her proven track record of excellence under the most demanding conditions had established her as one of the elite operators in the world's most prestigious special operations unit. The young woman who had once been told that her dreams were impossible had transformed the very definition of what was possible in military service. By 2021, Chief Petty Officer Sarah Martinez had become a legend within the special operations community, but she remained focused on her mission rather than her reputation. SEAL Team 6 assignments required absolute concentration and professional excellence, leaving little time for reflection on historical significance. Her role within the unit had evolved to include training responsibilities alongside operational duties. Sarah was selected to develop new medical protocols for high-risk missions, combining her extensive combat experience with advanced trauma care techniques. The protocols she developed were eventually adopted throughout Naval Special Warfare Command. The training facility at SEAL Team 6 buzzed with activity as new operators cycled through qualification courses designed to prepare them for the unit's demanding mission requirements. Sarah found herself increasingly responsible for evaluating candidates and providing advanced instruction in combat medicine and tactical decision-making. One particular training evolution would test not only her professional capabilities, but also challenge assumptions that still lingered within portions of the special operations community about women in combat roles. The training scenario involved a simulated hostage rescue operation in an urban environment. 40 experienced special operations personnel from various military branches had gathered for the exercise, which was designed to evaluate new tactics and procedures under realistic conditions. Among the participants was Master Sergeant Jake Morrison, a highly decorated Army Special Forces operator with extensive combat experience in Iraq and Afghanistan. Morrison was known for his aggressive tactics and uncompromising standards, qualities that had made him successful in numerous high-risk operations. Morrison had never worked directly with female special operations personnel, and he made no secret of his skepticism about their effectiveness in the most demanding combat situations. His comments during pre-exercise briefings reflected attitudes that, while not officially endorsed, still existed among some veterans of the special operations community. "I'm not saying women can't contribute," Morrison said during one planning session. "But when lives are on the line, I want to know that every person on my team can carry their weight, and mine if necessary. Physical standards exist for good reasons, and accommodating differences in capability isn't an option in real combat." Sarah had encountered similar attitudes throughout her career and had learned to address them through performance rather than argument. She participated in the planning sessions professionally, contributing tactical insights while avoiding direct confrontation with Morrison's comments. The exercise scenario placed 40 operators in the role of terrorist hostage takers, with each participant taking turns serving as either assault team members or hostile forces. The rotation system ensured that everyone would experience the scenario from multiple perspectives. Sarah was assigned to lead a 6-person assault team during the afternoon rotation. Her team included Morrison, who had specifically requested to work with her to see what all the fuss is about. The other team members were experienced operators from Marine Special Operations, Air Force Special Tactics, and Navy SEAL units. The scenario involved rescuing 12 hostages from a 3-story building defended by 8 terrorist role-players armed with simulation weapons. Success required precise coordination, quick decision-making, and flawless execution under time pressure designed to replicate real-world conditions. Sarah spent 30 minutes planning the assault with her team, analyzing building blueprints, and developing approaches for various contingencies. Morrison participated in the planning but made it clear that he considered the exercise an academic exercise rather than a serious test of capabilities. In real combat, things go wrong fast, he told the team during their final preparations. Plans fall apart, communications fail, and people get hurt. When that happens, you need operators who can adapt immediately and carry the mission forward regardless of circumstances. The exercise began with Sarah's team approaching the target building from 3 different directions. Intelligence indicated that hostages were being held on the 2nd floor, while terrorists were positioned throughout the building in defensive positions. Sarah had positioned herself to lead the main assault element through the primary entrance, while Morrison and another operator approached from the rear of the building. The remaining team members were assigned to provide overwatch and prevent terrorist escape. The initial breach proceeded according to plan, with Sarah's element gaining entry to the building while other team members secured the perimeter. However, the scenario was designed to introduce unexpected complications that would test leadership and decision-making under pressure. As Sarah's element moved through the ground floor, they encountered heavier resistance than anticipated. The terrorist role-players had repositioned themselves to create overlapping fields of fire that made advancing toward the stairs extremely difficult. Simultaneously, communication problems simulated by exercise controllers prevented coordination between team elements. Sarah found herself leading 3 operators in a complex tactical situation without reliable contact with the rest of her team. Morrison's element had encountered similar problems approaching from the rear of the building. 2 members of his sub-team had been killed by simulation weapons, leaving him with limited options for reaching the hostages on the 2nd floor. The exercise was designed to create exactly this type of scenario. Multiple complications occurring simultaneously, forcing leaders to adapt their plans and make critical decisions with incomplete information. Sarah quickly assessed the tactical situation and made a decision that would prove controversial among some observers. Instead of continuing the planned assault route through the ground floor, she decided to breach an exterior wall on the 2nd floor using explosive charges carried by her team. The decision was tactically sound but physically demanding. It required her element to climb the exterior of the building under simulated enemy fire, place precise explosive charges, and assault through the breach while coordinating with Morrison's separated element. Morrison, monitoring radio communications from his position, initially disagreed with Sarah's plan. "That's too risky," he transmitted over the tactical radio. "We should consolidate our forces and assault through the main stairwell." Sarah's response was calm, but firm. "Negative. Main stairwell is covered by interlocking fire. Exterior breach gives us better tactical advantage and element of surprise." Proceeding with breach. What happened next would be discussed in special operations training circles for years afterward. Sarah positioned explosive charges on the exterior wall with textbook precision while under simulated enemy fire. Her movements were economical and confident, demonstrating technical expertise that impressed even skeptical observers. The charges detonated exactly as planned, creating an entry point into the room where hostages were being held. Sarah was the first person through the breach, entering the room with her weapon ready, and immediately engaging terrorist role-players who threatened the hostages. Her shooting was accurate and controlled, neutralizing threats while maintaining clear awareness of hostage positions. The entry had achieved complete surprise, exactly as Sarah had predicted. The terrorist role players were positioned to defend against assault from the stairwell and were unprepared for attack from an exterior wall. Morrison's element, following Sarah's lead, breached the rear entrance simultaneously and moved quickly to support the main assault. The coordination between separated elements was flawless despite communication problems, demonstrating the kind of tactical instinct that separated elite operators from conventional forces. The entire hostage rescue was completed in less than 8 minutes, with all 12 simulated hostages successfully recovered and all terrorist role players eliminated. No assault team members were killed during the operation, and collateral damage to the training facility was minimal. The debrief session following the exercise was intense and detailed. Senior instructors analyzed every aspect of the operation, evaluating decision-making, tactical execution, and team coordination under pressure. Morrison's assessment of Sarah's leadership was unequivocal and public. "I was wrong," he announced to the assembled group. Chief Martinez demonstrated exactly the kind of tactical thinking and battlefield leadership that we expect from the best operators in our community. Her decision-making under pressure was outstanding, and her technical execution was flawless. The acknowledgement from someone of Morrison's reputation and experience carried significant weight within the special operations community. His public recognition of Sarah's capabilities helped address lingering doubts among operators who hadn't worked directly with female personnel. More importantly, the exercise demonstrated that Sarah's success wasn't based on accommodation or modified standards. She had outperformed experienced male operators in a demanding tactical situation, using superior planning, technical skill, and decision-making rather than physical advantages. Colonel Patricia Hayes, a senior officer observing the exercise, noted the broader implications of Sarah's performance. "What we witnessed today wasn't a woman succeeding despite her gender," Hayes observed. "It was an exceptional operator succeeding because of her capabilities. That's exactly the standard we should expect from everyone in our community." The training exercise marked another milestone in Sarah's career, but it also represented something larger. The special operations community had fully embraced the principle that capability mattered more than demographics, opening doors for future generations of women who possessed the skills and determination required for elite military service. Following the exercise, Sarah received an assignment that would test her capabilities at the highest levels of special operations. She was selected to serve as the primary planning officer for a classified counterterrorism operation that required coordination between multiple government agencies and international partners. The assignment represented the ultimate validation of her professional competence. Planning officers for high-priority operations were selected based purely on their tactical expertise and analytical capabilities. Sarah's selection indicated that she was considered among the most qualified officers available, regardless of gender. The operation, conducted in late 2021, achieved its objectives with minimal risk to friendly forces and civilian populations. Sarah's planning and coordination had been instrumental in the mission's success, earning recognition from senior officials throughout the national security community. As 2022 began, Sarah faced a new challenge that would require different skills than combat operations. She was selected to attend the Naval War College, beginning advanced education that would prepare her for senior leadership positions within the military. The assignment represented a transition from operational roles to strategic responsibilities. Sarah would study national security policy, international relations, and military strategy while preparing for eventual promotion to senior officer ranks. Her time at the Naval War College provided opportunities for reflection on the path that had brought her from a small Texas town to the highest levels of military service. The journey had required exceptional dedication, but it had also opened possibilities that previous generations of women couldn't have imagined. Sarah's thesis project at the War College examined the integration of women into special operations forces, analyzing lessons learned from her own experience and similar developments in allied militaries. Her research contributed to policy recommendations that would influence future integration efforts throughout the Department of Defense. Upon graduation from the War College in 2023, Sarah was promoted to lieutenant commander and assigned to a senior staff position at Naval Special Warfare Command Headquarters. The assignment placed her in a position to influence training standards, operational procedures, and personnel policies throughout the SEAL community. Her new role involved working with senior military leaders to develop doctrine and procedures for special operations in an evolving global security environment. The experience provided broader perspective on military strategy while maintaining her connection to the operational community where she had built her career. Throughout her transition to senior leadership, Sarah maintained her commitment to mentoring young operators who were beginning their own special operations careers. She regularly returned to training facilities to provide instruction and serve as an example for the next generation of military personnel. The story that had begun with a determined teenager who refused to accept limitations had evolved into something larger than individual achievement. Sarah's success had fundamentally changed perceptions about women's capabilities in military service while maintaining the uncompromising standards that defined special operations excellence. As she looked toward future challenges in her military career, Sarah understood that her greatest contribution might not be her own achievements, but the doors she had opened for others who possessed the skills and determination to serve their country in the most demanding roles the military could offer. The young woman who had once been told her dreams were impossible had not only achieved them, but had expanded the very definition of what was possible. Her legacy would be measured not just in her own accomplishments, but in the opportunities created for future generations of Americans who shared her commitment to serving something greater than themselves.